Hello everyone. So we all know about the loop in C. So we have discussed about for loop, while loop, do while loop. Now today in this video we are going to discuss about nested loop in C. So you all know the meaning of nested. So we have seen that nested if and else condition is there. Nested means there inside one if statement there will be another if statement. So nested loop means suppose inside one for loop there will be another for loop, or inside one while loop there will be another while loop. So let's see how this nested works in C. So first I will go in file, then new empty file, and suppose this is the program of nested loop. So I will give the name nested loop.c. So first include the header file hash include stdio.h, then int main, and here we should write our code. So I will first write return 1 because there is integer type, because the function is integer type. So I will return one value, and before return I will write our code. Suppose I am starting from for loop. So what is the structure of a for loop? We have to declare one variable. Suppose the name of the variable is I, then we have to write the keyword for, and inside that for keyword we have to initialize that variable. Suppose I equals to 0, and then the condition suppose I less than 10, and then the increment suppose I plus plus. So inside that we have to write what we want to write. Suppose printf %d, and here I will write the value of I. So if we compile this program, no error is there, run it again. So 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 is printed, because here the value of I started from 0 and ended with 10. Now if inside this for loop, if suppose I want to access another for loop, so what I will write? So suppose here I will write for, and for this for we have to give another variable. So after I will give another variable integer type j, and here suppose j will be started from 0, and suppose the value of j will be less than 10, and also j will be plus plus, so j plus plus. So this is another for loop. So inside that for loop I will suppose write printf, and then I will print the both value of I and j. So what I will write %d and %d, and for the next line I will give /n, and here I will print the value of I and j. So if we compile and run this program, now you can see the output. Okay, so here you can see the output. First there is 0 and 0. So first when the value of I was 0, at that time it will come inside the first for loop. At that time the value of j will be first 0, so it will come again in the printf statement, and 0 0 will be printed. Then the value of j will be 1, and the value of I is already 0, so 0 1, then the value of j will be incremented by 1 0 2 0 3. In this way it will print up to 0 and 9. So at that time the iteration of the inside for loop will be ended. Now again the outer for loop value, that means the value of I will be incremented by 1, and the value of I will be 1. First the value of I was 0. For 0 inside for loop rotate 9 times or 10 times. Then for 1 inside for loop will again rotate for 10 times. For 2 the inside loop will again rotate for 10 times. So in this way the outer loop will also rotate for 10 times, and the inner loop will also rotate for 10 times. So now you can see at the end when the value of I is 9, at that time also the value of j is rotated from 0 to 9. So in this way nested for loop works in C. So instead of this for loop we also can use nested while loop, we also can use nested do while loop. So here suppose I am just commenting out this line, and I will create one while loop. Inside this while loop I will give one condition when the value of I will be less than suppose 5, and then inside this while loop I will again write one while loop. Suppose the value of j will be from less than, suppose here I am giving the value 6, and then inside this while loop I want to print the value of I and j. So what I will write printf, and then %d and comma %d, and for next line I will give /n comma I and j. These two value will be printed. So then we have to increment the value of j. so I will write j plus plus, and here we also have to increment the value of I, so I will write I plus plus. And here we have to first initialize the value at the time of declaration, so I will give the value, suppose I equals to 0, and also sorry, here we have to give I equals to 0 and j equals to 0. If we run this program, you can see that outer while loop will be rotate for 5 times, because the first value of I was 0, so for 0 less than 5, 1 less than 5, 2 less than 5, in this way it will rotate up to 4. But the inner while loop will print only for 1 times. Why? Because the value of j is less than 6, so first the value of j will be 0, and then this j value will be incremented by 1, so this 0 will be incremented by 1, then the value of j will be 2, then the value of j will be 3, 4, 5. When the value of j will be 5, at that time it will rotate, but when the value of j will be 6, at that time it will come outside this while loop. And then at the next rotation, the value of I will be, suppose first the value of I was 0, then the value of I will be 1. At that time when it will come inside this while loop, there already the value of j is 6, so it will not go inside this while loop. So what I am telling you, if we compile and run this program, now you can see that here for outer value of I, the value of I is 0. At that time the while loop, that means the inner while loop, the value of j is 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. Now the value of j is 6. But when again the value of I will be like 1, then the value of I will be 2, then the value of I will be 3. At that time that j loop will not be rotated, because the value of j is already 6 from the first rotation. So for that reason, what we have to do, here I have to make the value of j equal to 0. So here I will write j equals to 0. So in each iteration the value of j will be started from 0 for that reason. So if we compile and run this program, now you can see that for the value of 0, the inner loop has rotated for 6 times, then for the value of 1, the inner loop has rotated for 5 times. Now for the value of 2, the inner loop has rotated for 5 or 6 times. For 3, in this way it works, and it's come to the ends when the value of I is 4, then the value of I will be incremented and will be 5, and at that time this condition will be false, it will come outside this while loop. So in this way nested while loop works in C. So in the same way the nested do while loop can also work in C. So instead of this while loop, we also can give inside for loop. Inside a while loop there can be one for loop, inside a for loop there can be one while loop, or inside these two for loop there can be another for loop instead of this print statement. So all the operation can be performed. So I hope you can understand the concept of nested loops. That means inside one loop there will be another loop, and all the concept will be remain same. So that's all for this video. If you like it, please like it, and if you have any kind of problem, please comment out your problem and I will be give my best to solve that. Thank you.